but I'm still paying the consequences of no sleep, too much booze, the travel back, like I'm sniffly, like I haven't had like good sleep, like it's just like, you know, it's the fun glamour of the boys' weekend, and then you just get fucking whacked.
Hasn't it been a week?
It's been exactly a week.
You're a week hangover.
Yeah.
Wow.
But
that's
like
impressive.
today's the first time. Today's the first time where I'm like not blowing my nose anymore. I've been going to the gym all week, so like it's just routine thing, but it's just like, man, holy shit. It's just like zero sleep. We went to pool parties. It was just me and another guy.
Okay.
It was supposed to be four of us, but our best friend is playing pro in Spain.
Nice.
So he gets to the airport ready to fly to Vegas the day before us, and they didn't let him on the plane.
Shut the fuck up.
Because apparently the EU, the European Union, is like on the no-fly list to the States, and you can't have been in the EU for 14 days if you're flying unless you're a permanent resident, green card, work, whatever.
What a fucking buzzkill.
So we woke up. He was like, boys, I'm not coming. I'm like, he's fucking with us. But he was like, no, there was list 6 a.m. like, he's not coming. So our other buddy dropped, and then my friend was like, yo, so what's good? Like, are we still going? And I said, bro, I'm going.
I'm going by myself.
I've been mentally preparing for this. I needed the what it felt like is like we time traveled. Like Toronto life got put on pause, flew to Vegas, did the 4 nights, and then just boom, all of a sudden you wake up back in Toronto, like what the fuck just happened?
You just pulled a real life hangover in the movie.
So it was great. We didn't get we were safe. We didn't get in any trouble. It was good. You couldn't ask for anything more. But like I'm sure. My poor body, bro. My poor body.
Oh, shut up! You're in good shape. Go for a run.
Poor body. So
go for a run.
What's new with you? What's up?
Oh man, we're just fucking grinding, as you know. It's been chaotic. It's been like we have like certain like type of goals and metrics that we got to meet, and it's gonna be a balls to the wall probably till I would say like September 30th. So I've actually I just don't know why I'm doing this with just by myself. I'm like coming to the office every single day till like September 30th, and not because I want it, but just because we got it. I have to. I got to be here. So it's gonna be insane. It's gonna be a fucking. And then October 1st is like the day that like freedom happens again, and that's a Friday. So I'm just gonna absolutely just blow it up on that day.
Can you explain? Because I'm not even familiar with it, and I think this is a good opportunity to like lay this out for people.
Okay.
What is the fiscal cycle? What is like the year end? So when I did get to Vegas with my boy, he's in tech sales. He lives in Dallas.
Yep.
And he's actually coming. Don't tell anyone. He's coming next weekend to surprise the friend from Spain who couldn't go. Their best friend. Nice. So they were hurting anyway. He's coming.
Do it. Where does he work?
He works for Palo Alto.
Tell him do an intro. We can get a sale. We'll get you some. We hooked up. That's what we do. Tech sales.
100%. And he was telling me a lot about it. He was like, yeah. Because I have another friend in Toronto who works for another cybersecurity company here.
Right.
But he was like, yeah, man, like I said, so what's your company do in like the year? Like how much money are they, like how big is your company? And he's like, we just started 5 years ago and we're the number one cybersecurity firm in the world. Huge. Yeah. So I'm like, holy shit. Okay. So he's in a good spot. But anyway, he was like, trying to plan this next weekend to come up, how work's gonna happen. He's like, oh, this is my work year end, or this is our something. What is that something?
The fiscal. Yeah. So basically, So it's funny, like when companies are like incorporated, right? Or like whenever they want to say it, they have the date of like when their fiscal year is, because not every company starts on like January 1, right? Or like we founded like on, and I think our fiscal is like in April or something like that, right? So you basically
has a different fiscal.
Yeah, it's when you incorporate, right? And then you can change it. I think you can change it. I'm not sure around like the going public. And I think going public, you then have to move to a calendar fiscal, which is the typical every quarter you come. Actually, no, it's not true. Actually, no, it's not true because no, it's not true. That's stupid because dumb comment, Troy. Because basically, companies always release earnings, right? And they release the earnings every quarter. So everyone has a quarterly release that they have to jump on a call if they're a public company with all the bankers and all the analysts and say, hey, this is what we did. We hit our targets. We missed our targets. So that's the quarterly review. I don't know if his company is public. They might be if they're the largest cybersecurity firm in the world. They probably are. They're on the NASDAQ or something like that. I wouldn't know, but that's my guess. Then they would have like, it'd be like, you guys got to bust it to the end of this fiscal, because usually like that's just every quarter you're coming up with stuff, right? And so that's basically the fiscal.
What are the quarters?
Every 3 months, right? So it's a 12-month calendar. 12-month calendar. Let's say let's call it the calendar fiscal. So there's this thing called the calendar fiscal. And that's just January, February, March, quarter, Q1. April, May, June, Q2, July, August, September, Q3, October, November, December, Q4. That's the actual quarterly the calendar fiscal.
So from a business perspective, a business strategy, are there certain goals or metrics that you try to hit in different quarters?
Exactly, right. So you're always trying to ramp. You're always trying to grow every quarter. That's like quarters are like the business measurement of a company's growth. So like, and what they always try to do is their fiscal, they'll look back a year, right? So they'll say, well, in your Q1 fiscal of 2022, comparing that to your Q1 fiscal of 2021, right, this is how you guys have grown since then, right? Over the last year. So you're looking back a year, actually every single quarter, but you're also looking at inside the quarter, how you guys did, what your growth was.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
So how, like, where's Greencube's, or how have Greencube's objectives or goals changed from a quarterly perspective? Like, let's hold on to this calendar that we're, learning about.
Yeah.
You just hopped on the call and said, boy, we're going balls to the wall. We're going September 30th. Like, where's September 30th in the calendar? Like that.
Well, September. So the reason why is we're probably going out and doing a Series A. I would say starting that conversation, even though we just closed the seed round, probably going out and doing a Series A in October. Like that's when we're starting the conversation, because we have a couple of unique strategies and stuff we want to implement to like really blow this up. And we've identified a couple of unique product developments that we could do to make this actually more of a SaaS platform than rather a TaaS platform, which is really cool. Second fold is September. We're a calendar fiscal. If you want to go back to the fiscal, which is the third. So this is our Q3 basically. So the end of September would be basically the end of Q3. We have just to be open, like we have a certain revenue mark from an annual reoccurring revenue that we want to hit. We hit when we hit that mark, when we hit that mark, we're ultimately then going to start conversations around the fundraise. We already have like some kind of dialogue going with a couple of VCs out in San Fran, a couple of VCs in Austin, Texas, Utah. So it's all like good stuff. It's just, I know, like, it was funny. Like, it's just like we're at an inflection point right now. And when you're at an inflection point, it just takes, I think this is like always an exciting time in business, but it's also the scariest, because like you're just holding this thing together. And then ultimately, while you're growing till you figure out processes, figure out everything here, and you got to keep building, growing, keep building, growing. And ultimately you're kind of at a point where like eventually the process clicks, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. And ultimately then you kind of hit that hockey stick growth, if that makes sense. So it's kind of the common terminology. So we're right at the edge of the hockey stick, I would say. Like we're just going up the blade and we're about to go up the shaft, I would say.
And so you're like, I love how you just said you're just kind of like holding on, because a lot of people refer to startups as, building the plane as you fly it. So
yeah, that's true.
Kind of built it. It's built. Yep. It's
proven. It's in the air. It's in the air.
It's flying, but you're trying to get that next level of elevation.
Yeah, we're trying to go from the atmosphere to the stratosphere. I guess that's probably the best way to do it.
Have since you closed the seed round, have you changed your revenue model, sales strategy, added new products, services to help drive growth, or has it continued to do the same stuff that you've done?
Yeah, so I think this is interesting, right? Like we were having a conversation around this actually today. It was kind of funny. So we raised it around. We have cash in the bank, we're bringing in good money every month right now, and ultimately now it's you need you always try to like allocate dollars. So this is like what I've learned is kind of when you do fundraises, like a next fundraise, it's always to build something out. Since we are a tech company, like so I said basically today, to answer the question directly, is no, we're not redefining everything else. We redefine, so the product is the same. We're gonna keep innovating this product. You can make this product better from an AI perspective. You can make it better from a messaging perspective, an audience creator. There's like idiosyncrasies within the V1 product that ultimately you can start to play with and get better. You use your seed round of funding, I would say, to make this the best product ever, to then also grow your sales teams, then also grow your strategies. We actually repositioned our pitch actually to, which is really cool. Actually, I love it. It's an AI-powered B2B outreach, or AI-powered outreach firm for B2B. Like, it's so cool. It's like outreach is like, which is what we're doing. Like, it's pretty fucked. Like, we've developed a kind of new pitch. We've developed a whole new strategy on the sales. We're redefining, kind of tweaking the product here and there. And you tweak your V1, right? Like, that's what you use your funds for. You really kill that. Grow your revenue, kill that, which is what we're doing over the next like 2 months and why it's crazy. Then when you go to your Series A, as the great thing about sales and ultimately being on the front lines every day is you don't just talk to prospects, Tristan, you actually talk to prospects. Sorry, you don't just talk to clients, you actually talk to prospects, right? And so the great thing about that is you capture so much information from people that sometimes don't become clients.
Right.
A big thing for us was, and what will go into the next version of the V2 or the expansion or the Greencube Lite product, will be ultimately the data that we compiled with our outreach and conversations just like these into the V2, because we know there's a market for it. Because we've sat on calls and people say, I just can't do it because of X, Y, and Z. We're going to go create the V2, which ultimately basically takes all their excuses and says, well, there's not an excuse anymore. And it's something that you wanted it, we're giving it to you.
Yeah, bro, I'm just sitting here like fascinated, because I remember our Act 1. I came prepared with this and the research, and I'm drilling Troy with all these questions about this V1 and what is Greencube and what's the tech.
Yeah.
And you're literally like, your language of business is like polished. Like, you're just running through this. Like, you're like, it's just coming out. You're living, breathing, eating Greencube V1, and it's see. It's like I sports is always my go-to like analogy. It's just like, yeah, you can be a great jump shooter or you can be a great skater, but like you saying that you take all the funds that you raised in the seed round, you're tweaking, you're reinforcing, you're building those fundamentals. It's like going back to what you do, your bread and butter, and being the best at it.
Because you're basically putting those funds, Tristan, in is like, you're going to tweak the product that you created. Ultimately got you the seed funding. It did. It got you a combination of the V1 with the sales got you the seed funding, and people go, okay, they did this. Here's some cash. What can you do with it? You put that money into making that V1, that first product, amazing, but you also put it into hiring salespeople, ramping up growth, marketing, all the different other prospect things that go into scaling a business, right? And then ultimately you go raise a V2, you go raise a Series A round to either amplify obviously the growth of the V1 product, but and then also build out other subsets of products and grow your product segmentation versus ultimately your as well as your basically your revenue growth and your revenue segmentation as well.
Do you think it is or no? I need to know how to frame this question, because you said you just closed the seed round and now you're preparing to go for Series A.
Series A, dude, because yeah, great question, right? So these things,
I was just gonna say, is that typical for a business to go so fast, or do sometimes people be like, oh, you know what? No, we're happy with the seed round. We're gonna chill for a little bit.
Well, I think if you're chilling for a bit, then your investors are going to be not too happy at that. Even like Facebook raises rounds, right? Like, I mean, all these major tech companies, major growth companies, like you raise money. It's a counterintuitive thing when you think about it, right? It's funny because like old like 90s entrepreneurs basically go like, or just may go like, well, what's your P&L? What's your like all these different, what's your balance sheet and all this different stuff. But like when you raise money, like you got to spend it. Like you're not trying to be frugal with it. So if you're like in a seed round and we raise like, I think 900K USD or 1.2 million Canadian, if we don't spend that money, like obviously you can't spend it in a terrible way. If you don't spend that efficiently over the course of like a year or a year and a half, whatever your runway is, then you're ultimately like, the investor's going to look at you, turn around to you and go, well, why did we raise 900K when I said you could have taken 100, like, or not even taken any money? Like, it doesn't make sense, right? So you got to go rip that, grow, scale, and then when you're like, it's funny, it's all timing, right? So then like halfway through while you're going through your seed funding growth, you got to then go out and start conversations around the Series A, and this is what we're doing, and here's our growth rate, and here's what we'll do with the funds, the use of proceeds, and that will unlock this type of audience and pivot this type of growth. And yeah, man, it's like it's counterintuitive when you think about it, that you got to spend a lot of money, but it really goes back to the term where it's like you got to spend money to make money. I mean, that's just the fact. Like, it's crazy.
That makes total sense. Like, it's real quick. Is this your first time being a part of something like this, a part of fundraising?
Yeah. I mean, on this side of the table. So when I was consulting in New York, I was looking, it wasn't even really, not Series A level deals, but seed deals, like the solopreneur that would walk into the office, which is with a new app or like with a new idea or with like the dream. Like everyone has a dream when they try to be an entrepreneur. I was sitting across the table, like evaluating those dreams. Okay. And I guess I was the dream crusher at that point, even though it wasn't really my decision. It was obviously the big ops decision, but learned it across. But from this stanza I've been involved with like obviously another seed round of financing, but private Series A, this would be my first one, and it's really exciting. I think at like 26 now, like that's super impressive and something that I'm pretty happy about and prideful about, but also comes with a lot of expectations and a lot of pressure. And I don't know, man, I'm ready for it though. Like I'm excited about this.
I was just gonna say I don't know anyone else that's been involved with like the kind of growth or the company like you always bring this up. We always bring it up. People are like, yeah, man, how do you guys know each other? Where the hell did you guys come from?
So true. I get asked that all the time.
And it's just like, again, it just happened one time. And here we are 12 weeks to 13 weeks later.
13.
But like, if I'm being quite honest, first, someone might first meet Troy and be like, okay, this guy's off the wall. This guy is like loud, he's confident, he's trying to go to the moon, and he's doing
he's a douchebag. I get douchebag a lot.
I wouldn't call you dude. I hate that word.
I kind of love it. I really do. I kind of like it. It's actually a compliment, because then I just turn around for a second. Oh yeah, it's too bad, because I'm actually a really nice guy. It's kind of nice. It's kind of.
It would be very easy for someone to label you like that and be like, okay, this guy thinks he's gonna like, well, he's an entrepreneur. He's co-founding.
Like, I mean, yeah.
But then like, all you have to do is put your nuts on the table and look, you're 26-year-old in series talking to Series A round. Like that's incredible.
It's great. I mean, listen, then I go like, well, fuck. Well, Mark Zuckerberg was 19 when he created Facebook. Then I look like, oh, I'm a dinosaur, right? But it's all relative. I think like everyone goes through, like, I think what I've realized is like everyone goes through different progressions in life, and no one's on the same path and no one's on the same timeline. And people might go, wow, like that's amazing. But then also like you're on an amazing path as well. Like, and ultimately it's just a matter of, I guess, like I don't know. I think I always had like a vision of being here. Maybe I actually even thought I would be here earlier. Like I always thought that, right? Like, oh, I'm 26. That's old. Well, it's not really that old, but like it's old. I thought I'd be here at 24, right? But like, so I think like it's great. I think honestly, like I always had trouble like taking like saying, wow, like I did this. Like, wow, like I always thought like I wanted to be humble, right? Yep. And there's a way I think you can be humble and also like, but in a self-belief kind of way, and also very proud. There's a way you can be humble and proud at the same time. And I think that's something that I've actually developed and learned. And it's something that, listen, to the immature person, it comes off as, or to the outsider, it comes off as cocky douchebag prick, right? Or asshole, right? But actually to the person that's been through the grind, that goes through this daily, that knows me, but also the entrepreneur, the person that like sees like what it actually takes to like get it to even this point, they go, oh, that guy, I fuck with that guy. Like I like that's my, I get it.
I just think it's like it's also super easy to do that too, because there's not many people out, like there's not many 26-year-olds that are in the position that you're in. Like there are, in the grand scheme of things on a global scale, whatever, like you could find them. But I'm talking about in your social circle, like I don't know too many people like Troy, and that's why when I first met you, I was like, is this guy legit? I have no idea, but I'm here to find out.
And he's crazy. He's definitely a little crazy.
But it's just like it goes back to like the whole, you know, you're not afraid, the self-belief. You're not afraid to sit across from a CFO or a CEO, even though you are 25 at the time and they're a 55-year-old multimillionaire. Like you've just always had that belief, where other people would be like, yeah, good luck, buddy.
Yeah, I mean, that, you know, it goes back to, right, it stems from insecurity, right? Like you have to like be, I think I've always just my personality. And again, I'm like theater minor, very like love the stage, just love it, right? Regardless of where the stage is, love it. But like I love it. I love, like I've always had the mentality is, listen, and I'm nervous as shit internally. I'm like fucking sweating and I'm just really scared. But I was always that guy to get up on the stage. I was always going to take the step to get on stage, right? And be in front of people. And people may look, and then like, I don't know, my quirky nature maybe comes out, my performing comes out, but internally I'm like, holy shit, I'm scared, right? I am so nervous. But like I was externally like, I'll crack a joke and lighten something up, and then I get comfortable. Like I get on stage and then all of a sudden I'm comfy. And so that's like in business, right? Like I think you sit across the table, it's ultimately a stage, like it's a performance.
Yes.
And ultimately you learn to be comfortable in that performance. You've done the script, you sat across from someone, but really that comfortability stems from the internal belief that you actually provide value across the table to that 55-year-old CFO, right? So like I don't look at myself as someone who's 25 or 26. I actually look at myself as someone that's gonna create value for you. Right. Like I'm the fact that we're having this conversation, like I'm not full of shit because I know I'm gonna create value for you. Mm-hmm. And so then age goes out the window, title goes out the window, because you're just talking dollars and cents and value and help and creation. That's all it is, right?
That makes total sense, and I would also add that it takes repetition too. It's like
right.
if you've been on the stage before many times, then that's where the comfort level comes from. It's like when I used to practice free throws, you know, you're the only one there on the line, and you're just shooting, regardless if the game's on the line or not. Like, it's just everyone's kind of looking at you for those 10 seconds.
Yeah.
I would just always take myself back to the gym when I'm alone. Like, it's a mental thing. It's like, oh, I've been here before.
Man, do you know how many like sales calls and how many meetings that I've sat in and then like been on the call and like not like literally went like, oh, this is going fucking terribly. Like, there are so many of those, man. Like, it's ridiculous. I can't even. There's probably hundreds of them. Like, and that's the funny thing, right? Like, it's people now look at it and they go like, holy shit, man! Like, you're so good with this. Like, you could just communicate and convey it. But that like skill and that basically comes out of no different than how like an athlete would develop their game. Like, you just develop your game. And I think like, and it came from like, if like, I would love to be a fly on the wall and go back in time and sit and watch me like at 23, 24, do some of these calls and be in front of these meetings. Cause then I'd probably be there like, dude, what the fuck are you saying? Like, or I go like on the first one, I'd be like, how did that work? That was the stupidest thing I've ever seen, right? But then the funny thing is, right? Like, we talk about this. Like, remember your calendar, your email is your diary, or is something you can look back on, right? Your journal. Like, you'll look back at stuff. I'll look back at stuff now, even like after this grind period over the next like 2 months, and go, well, shit, like that, like I've grown over the last 2 months. Like, I've seen that like growth, and I would never have put that in an email like that. I would have positioned it this way. It's all retrospective, but it's pretty funny how like again, like, yeah, it's like all this, the comfortability across the table or the pitch or talking to people or resonating, it only comes out of the failed attempts, but they're not failed attempts. It's really just practicing to get to a level that ultimately your game plays and people like it.
It is a game, and that's why a lot of athletes like get in for fun themselves becoming entrepreneurs when they retire, because it's that competitiveness, it's that failure, it's that repetition, it's that get up when I don't want to get on the call, but I'm showing up anyway. Like,
and what a lot of people do is they get so discouraged with that practice or the game itself that they quit. They never actually develop it. They never actually develop the game where you get on. You never act. They practice and they discourage with practice, which is actually going out and doing sales call you this, but they have never actually, and they quit. So they never actually discover what it's like to play in a real game and see that game play and have the success, because they quit, they get discouraged. And that's something that's so common with people, right? I was just stubborn enough to keep putting myself on those painful fucking sales calls over and over again and learning and just seeing, fuck, like, you question yourself. Like, it's so like, it's so anyone that says they have all the answers and they're naturals is a liar. You are just straight up a liar. Michael Jordan just worked at his game. Yes, was he talented, but he had to practice and develop until his game played, right?
You need to practice game-like repetition. You can't just go
exactly. So not practice, but game. Yes.
It's practice doesn't make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect. And it's like, you need real game-like simulation reps, and that requires hopping on calls with a real person with money and in a transaction, which people are discouraged to do.
You could sit on the sideline and you can role play all you want. Yeah. Like, you can sit there and dialogue. You don't learn anything. That's why, like,
books, self-help mentorship, you feel good and it feels like you're doing something, but like, if you actually want to build a chest, you need to go do your push-ups. You can't just watch push-ups. Well,
just put yourself out there. Like, so many people are afraid to like fail or not put themselves out there, man. Like, just fuck, like, no, like, who cares? Like, literally, like, it's literally like, I mean, but like, I say, who cares now? When I tell you this, like, go try it, just do it. But then when I was doing it like 2 years ago, I was like, oh man, maybe I don't do that. Maybe I don't put myself out there. But it's like, that's like, you look at that you look backwards at that and you go, wow, I'm happy I did that. I'm happy I took a step. I don't have any regret. I like put myself out there. I sat on that, like with the number one private equity firm in Canada. I sat with like on a call across from 10 data science like experts and PhDs, and spoke the language and answered questions. Did I know what I was talking about? Fuck no. But I did that call. We ended up getting the client, which was cool. But like, that was like such an experience, right? I'm happy I got, and that was like an 8 a.m. call. I'll never forget that. It was so cool. And I didn't know what the hell I was talking about. And I was just trying to do the dance. But I'm so happy I actually did the dance, because when you do the dance, you learn the rhythm, you learn the beat, you learn the rhyme, and ultimately you go and eventually you're, I don't know, let's go dancing with the stars. Who knows?
I think the key there is, though, like, you have to, when you take that jump and you're like, okay, let's see how this goes, you have to be ready to face the failure. Like, in your mind, you have to be aware that, hey, this might not go right. I might look like a fool. It didn't for you. You got the client, but you have to be willing to accept that if you do.
Well, that was like, listen, I had also like 150 calls and clients that passed before that. Right? Like, I mean, I don't think you need to be, I was never ready to face failure. I would say I would go out, do it, and really generate, like, that went really well, even though it probably was a really bad call. But in the moment, I was like, it went great. And then and then they would crush me and say like, no, we're not going to sign up. And I went through that and but got up again and said, I'm still going to get up to the next call. I'm still going to do the next call. Crush. Next call. Crush. Next call. No. Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. Oh, I got a maybe.
And that
and then all of a sudden, like,
tickled you a little bit to like, ooh, Troy, you're almost there. Like, keep going.
Yeah. You got a maybe. Oh, that's better than a no. Okay. Yeah. Then a maybe went to, okay, this is good. And then maybe went to yes, or like 100%, or let's start tomorrow, or I fucking love this. And then now when I'm at that stage, I'm like I had a call today, like before we jumped on, the guy was like, I don't think your business is good. Like, it doesn't apply to me. Like, your business does, imagine getting on a call and someone goes, your business does not apply to me. Well, then I'm like, well, like, why are you taking the call? Like, then if my business doesn't apply to you, it's like, and then I go like, what do you do? Right. Like, and he goes, this is what I do. And I said, okay, so you go and target so you want to go after brands, or you want to go after e-commerce brands? And then he was like, yeah. And I'm like, so what are you currently doing? So I hired like 3 or 4 biz development people to do this. I'm like, great, that's what we do. We create a whole basically AI centric outreach system to optimize your BD people to get the brands. That's what we do. He's like, oh, I need that. Let's send the contract. Let's go. It's all like, you can't get discouraged by someone being in a moment saying like, and saying how they're feeling. You just got to ask questions about them, learn about them a little more, and then apply your knowledge and apply your game to that situation.
And I am guilty as being one of those YouTube guys that I'm always just trying to learn from other people. That's why I love listening to you just go off, because I'm just brain perspective. How do people think? And that's one of the biggest things that I've noticed as like in direct sales, you need, it's not like, hey, this is what I can offer you. How does that sound to you? It's like, no, find out what that person needs and then see if I can offer to them.
Try to, it's all about positioning, right? Like, you're just going to try to position you're going to ask questions, but like, you're asking questions that are guiding them towards the pitch. That makes sense.
That's right.
You're not forcing them to the pitch.
No, it's a dance.
You can't do that. You're doing a little bit. Hey, you're doing this all. You're doing a little bit of dance. You're guiding them, you're dancing with them. Maybe you do a little twirl. Hey, let's go get a drink. And your drinks may be like, hey, that's the pitch. You just have a conversation at that point. You're not pitching. You've learned so much about that person. They're happy. They're on their feet. They're dancing. And then you're just having a conversation with them. That's it. And either the conversation goes 2 ways. Hey, you know what? Like, this is great. I really love what you're doing. And I say back to them, I love what you're doing. And I get it. Maybe it's not a fit. That's fine. But ultimately at that point, I made a valuable business connection. Every call, you don't listen, you can pull a valuable connection out of that call. You don't have to get discouraged because you don't get the sale on the call. That's someone that, listen, I might need to contact, not in this business, but maybe the next one or the one after. And now I have that contact and that relationship. It's all about relationships, man.
And it's what you said earlier is the prospects. You're talking to the clients,
right.
You're talking to the prospects too, and the prospects can ultimately be more valuable than the clients.
Well, that's the funny thing too, right? Is like the knowledge you gain from the prospects that said no or maybe or never pulled the trigger.
Longer.
You can create the V2, which is basically you're funding your Series A around to get to that audience, because you have literally market research from word of mouth directly from the person. And you basically create that V2 product to capture that audience. And it's a big audience because X percentage of all prospects and calls that you have fall within that audience. So you create like maybe another version of your product that ultimately caters to that audience. And you'll be able to scale it because you've already have that market expert.
Love that. Let's end it on this. Troy, are you on, like, do you spend any time on Twitter yourself, just like checking the news and sports scores and stuff? You're frozen on me. Oh, there you are.
I'm back.
Okay. Twitter. Do you spend any personal time on Twitter, like just checking the news, sports scores, just funny tweets and
20,
stuff?
25, 30 times a day. It's my favorite platform.
I love Twitter.
I think we talked about this a year ago. Remember we were talking about Twitter?
Oh, maybe like
we talked about this
episode.
Go watch if you still have the Undressed at Jersey episode. Yeah. We talked about Twitter.
Okay, man. Oh, fuck, Mike. I think my connection's the one fucking up. But
that's a fuck. My memory is like I fuck yours.
Yeah, okay.
We're back.
So we're back. We'll wrap this up quick. But yeah, I think I do remember that. Yeah, we were talking about.
I 100% remember it.
Yeah, the news, how micro updated. Anyway, I'm a big Twitter fan. So recently I found like you can follow topics. And one of the topics I follow now is like startup, or you can do business and finance, whatever. Anyway, so it's just like a bunch of these influencers or thought leaders in the world of startups giving advice and whatever. So they go, this guy named Logan, shout out Logan. He goes, call out your audience. If a dentist says your teeth are yellow, your immediate action is to want to pay to whiten them. So 1, research your audience pain points. 2, bring them out in your copy. 3, give them a solution that you sell. It'll double your sales with this thinking.
A typical outreach strategy.
Yeah, like how do you resonate? Like, have you heard about that strategy? Like, is that a strategy? Is that something you use?
That's our business. We create strategies. We create strategy. We create your audience. We develop messaging, which is what you're talking about right now, that would resonate with that audience. We throw it into a omni-channel platform cadence, which is a fancy word for saying we send through multiple different types of messaging across different platforms to one person. And ultimately, eventually, you provide so much value to that person in messaging and identifying the pain points of that person in messaging that ultimately they go, you hit them at the right time, or they go, that's really interesting. And they go, I got to learn more about that. And they respond. And then that's our software. That's what we do. Like, so when you say that, I go, I can deal with that every single day.
Every day.
Yeah.
It's fun. So these are going to be cool. I think I'm going to, like, as I go through my Twitter in the morning and whatever, like throughout the day, I'm going to like find stuff. I'll bookmark it. And then I'm going to pop that tweet up on this episode, and we can finish it, start it in the middle, whatever. We'll do one an episode.
Let's do it, man. I'm so down. And I think like, what was I going to say? Yeah, I think like I've actually been, I've been listening to like a whole bunch of like celebrities, and also like people that came, like entrepreneurs that came from like the grind. And I've been listening to them, man, and they're all like genuine people, and they're all humble. You can tell when someone's full of shit, like the fucking Forex traders on Instagram that are trying to pitch you the next appointment center. Hate them. They're all full of shit.
Hey, bro,
But you can actually
page, love your style.
whatever. We hate them. I don't like them. We can tell. You can tell they're full of shit. The guy that like jumps on, he like talks like genuinely, and also talks like, you know, I think Snoop Dogg. I was listening to him, and he goes, you know, he's doing like a radio show, and he goes, you know what? So they asked him, who do you really want to thank? And he goes, I really want to thank me. Like he said that straight up, and the person started laughing at him, like, wow, like they did, like that was kind of a cocky thing to say. But he's like, no, man, like, I really want to thank me. I want to thank me for putting in all this hard work, for waking up every day, for doing the grind, for doing all the for still like pursuing and going after my dream when so many people doubted me. I'm so proud of me. And I was like, that's it. I love that guy. That's exactly what I'm talking about. And that's not cockiness. That's just like belief in facts. And that's like something that
it's
yeah, that's like something
you put in the time, you put in the hours, you put in the pain, you put in the grind. So
yeah, man.
You have
and like that's like and like I was like, fuck, I really maybe I fuck with Snoop Dogg now. Like I wasn't a Snoop Dogg fan, but like that's my guy, man. I love that guy. Ain't nothing but a gangster body.
Fuck yeah.
All right, man. Love it, man.
That's Act 12.
12. Let's go.
All right, baby. Keep it real.
Bye, buddy.
Thanks.